Okay, so on your midterm, when we have it next week, you are going to turn in this review sheet, and you want to make sure you have all the correct answers. So today we're going to go through problems 26 through 46 to make sure not only that you have the correct answers, but also that you understand the concepts, because if you understand this review sheet, you're going to do excellent on our midterm coming up next week. Okay, so here you can see we do have parentheses around this and around this. We need to decide if we need the parentheses or if we can let them go away. Is there anything on the outside of this that I need to distribute? Yes or no? No. No, there is not. So I do not need those parentheses, and I can drop everything down without the parentheses. Outside here, you can see there is a plus sign. If we are distributing a positive to everything, it stays the same, okay? So we're very happy when we see a plus because that means I can drop everything down that comes behind it because there is nothing to distribute. Now, this is where we do have an interesting scenario. I have a plus and a minus side by side. Who always wins? Minus. The minus sign. So I can get rid of this because when I add a negative, that means to subtract. Now we're going to come in and underline and circle the like terms. Guys, what else is like the y family, negative 8y? Excellent. Do you guys remember what a number that's standalone is called?
A constant.
A constant. What other constant is up there?
6.
A positive 6. Very good. Halen, let's combine the variable terms first. What is negative 8y minus 2y?
Negative 10y.
Very good, because he had same sign. He added the numbers and kept the sign. Next up, Lexi, we're going to combine those two constants. What is negative 5 plus 6?
1.
Okay, positive 1 or negative 1? Positive 1 is correct. Raise your hand if you got that one correct on your own. Excellent. If you did not, that's okay, but you need to erase it and fix it to make sure that you have good study notes that can help you when you're reviewing for this exam. Let's go to the next one. Zariana, tell me what to do.
You dropped the
Okay, there's nothing to distribute, so I am going to drop down those first parentheses. How about over here? Do I need to distribute anything?
No.
No, and because this is a positive, we enjoy it when there's a positive or a plus sign there, so we're going to bring everything else down. Zariana, what happens with the double signs right here?
You crossed the plus out.
Okay, we do not need that plus anymore. Now underline and circle the like terms for me, please.
Negative 3x, underline that, circle, positive 10, underline negative 6x, and circle negative 10.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's combine the x family first.
And then that would be negative 9x.
Do you guys agree with her that that's negative 9x?
No, I mean, yes. No, yeah.
Is that the same sign or different sign? Same sign. So she was correct. Add the numbers, keep the sign. Okay. When I walked around and saw that earlier when I was checking it, a lot of people had positive 9x. All right, Zariana, what happens to these two, the positive 10 and the negative 10? They cancel each other out because that's a number and it's opposite. So her final answer is negative 9x. All right, looking at the next one, this one says find the difference. What I want everyone to do on the side, this is the section that I think a lot of people have messed up on. I want you to put 3.2 and just draw a little cloud around it. This, if you are struggling with this, or maybe you didn't get this correct, if you go back to watch the videos in 3.2, it will help you with what the answers are. Okay, so your midterm next week is going to be a multiple choice exam. As you can see, we just came up with some different options that you guys in this class had. How many of you would say one of those answers up there is what you got? Because maybe you would say, hey, none of those were my answer, so then your answer would be D. Let's work through this and then just see if we can come up with what the correct answer would be. Looking at the first one, Kyla, do I need those parentheses there? No, there is nothing there in front of it that I need to distribute, so I'm just going to bring it down 6x minus 2.5. Let's move on to this next part right here. There is a minus sign. Remember, that means you have to distribute the negative to everything on the inside. So we did something way back in 3.2 where I said it was minus 1, and you could distribute the negative 1 to everything there. How many of you remember doing it that way? There was another way that I think most people liked better, where I gave you permission and I said, you're allowed to change that minus sign to a what? A plus sign. How many of you remember this way? But if I give you permission to change that minus to the opposite to a plus, then what do I need to do to everything on the inside here? We have to change those signs to the opposite. So guys, instead of a negative 3x, what would that become?
Positive.
That's going to be, we brought that plus sign down, positive 3x. And this right here, instead of positive 4.1, it would be negative 4.1. Now we have an interesting scenario, a double positive. It doesn't matter, okay? You can, if it bothers you, you can erase one of those pluses. It just means you're really adding it together, okay? Now we're going to underline and circle the like terms. This is the x family. This is the constant family. So let's combine this first. 6x plus 3x. Guys, what's that answer? 9x. How many of you would say you can already see the one that you put down there, your answer, it cannot be correct anymore? All right, so if I were looking right here and if I were taking this exam, I would say, okay, that cannot be the answer because I just got 9x. This cannot be the answer because it's not going to be this 3x right here, which means it has to either be C or D. Let's keep working it out to see if we can find the correct answer. The next thing we need to do is combine the constants. Class, does the constants have the same sign or different sign? Same sign. Same sign, add and keep. Add the numbers and keep the sign. When I add that together, I get 6.6. Now, many people at this point would look at this one and say, there it is, 6.6. C is my answer. But guys, remember, add the numbers and keep the sign. What sign was it?
Minus.
A minus. So class, do we see the answer there? No, this one also just got marked off, so the answer has to be none of these. Okay, so there is an art in taking a multiple choice exam. You got to look at the different options and cancel out the ones that you know for sure it's not going to be, but still work out the entire problem and then compare to see if you have the correct answer. Now here's another thing I would teach you. If ever I get to a none of these, I'm going to go back and redo that problem and really make sure that none of those were the correct answer. On to the next one. Halen, help me out. How do I do this?
Change the minus to
Tell me that pencil.
Okay. Let's talk about the first set of parentheses. Do I need those?
yes.
Why do I need this first set of parentheses?
Because that's like the first part.
Okay, is there anything in front of that I need to distribute?
No.
No. So do I need those parentheses?
No.
No. So we're going to drop down the first set just like that. Okay? Now, I think you were trying to explain to me what I need to do about that minus sign.
To a positive.
Okay, we're going to change that to a positive. I'll drop that down. Then what happens to everything on the inside over here?
Change, like the signs change.
Okay, so what do I write?
Negative y, negative 9y, and negative 6.
Good job. Instead of plus 6, he put minus 6. Help me out with this. Who wins?
Negative.
The negative always wins, so I'm just going to get rid of my positive sign there. Okay, go ahead and underline and circle. Underline and circle the like terms.
Yes. Underline negative 4 and negative 6. And circle negative 2y and negative 9y.
Okay, let's combine these variable terms first.
Negative 11y.
And then next, let's combine those constants.
Minus 10.
Minus 10. That is correct. Did anyone else get the same answer that Halen did? If you did not, erase it and fix it. Because remember, once again, this is going to be your study guide that helps you to know how to study for your midterm next week. The next one say, to simplify the expression using the distributive property. Gerard, what is the number that's on the outside of the parentheses that we need to distribute? Negative 3. Okay, so a lot of times I'll just underline that, but then the way that you show me that you understand your distributing is by taking those little arrows and showing me I've got to multiply everything on the inside by that number on the outside. Gerard, what is negative 3 times positive 2y? Negative 6y is correct. And then what is negative 3 times negative 3? Positive or negative 9? Positive 9, you are correct. I'd like you to bump it off for someone to do number 31. Adam, let's talk about the parentheses right here. Is there anything that you can combine on the inside of those parentheses?
Yeah,
What is it?
the 5y and the negative 3.
Good job. These are the y family. So I can combine those before I do anything else, okay? Because it says to do the work in the parentheses first according to PEMDAS. So Adam, if you were to combine these two, 5y minus 3y, what do you get?
2y?
Very good, 2y. And then I'm just going to bring down my plus 2. Now we've got a problem that looks just like problem number 30. We are going to distribute. What number should I distribute, Adam?
Negative 4.
Good job. So I'm going to distribute the negative 4 to the first term and to the second term. Adam, what is negative 4 times positive 2y?
Negative 6y?
What's 4 times 2?
Oh wait, no, 8.
Okay, so we've got negative 8y. Now I want you to multiply the negative 4 times positive 2.
2.
4 times 2?
Negative 2.
What's 4 times 2?
I keep on thinking. Wait,
It's okay. What's 4 times 2?
8.
8. So what would negative 4 times positive 2 be? We have a negative times a positive. There's one negative number. So does my answer have to be positive or negative?
Negative.
It has to be negative. So the answer is going to be negative 8y minus 8. Class, can I combine these two together? No, why not?
It's not the same thing.
Okay, they're not in the same family. Those are different terms. So since they're not like terms, I cannot combine them. Let's go ahead and turn to the next page. Okay, so you can see up at the top of our notes here, it says that you are allowed to use a calculator on this portion of the midterm. So if you don't have your calculator out right now, I want you to take it out. For this one, it says to solve the equation and check your solution. It's been a while since we've done problems like this, but the whole goal is to get the variable by itself. Anson, what's the variable in problem 32? W. So our goal is to get W by itself. Class, what's not allowing W to be alone? Plus 1.4. What's the opposite of plus 1.4? Minus 1.4. So what you do to one side? Good job. So we're going to make sure, drop down that equal sign right here. What happens over here, Anson, to the plus 1.4 and the minus 1.4? Halen, help him out. What happens to it?
Cancel it out.
It cancels it out. A number and its opposite always equals 0. So all that I'm left with here is just the W. Now we're going to focus on the left side. Addie, what is negative 10.2 minus 1.4? Very good. Negative 11.6. She noticed she had the same sign, so she added the numbers and kept the sign. A lot of people got that part when they did their homework, but a lot of people did not see this part. What does that say? Check your solution. How many of you would say you forgot to check it? All right, so checking is just a way to see, did you get the correct answer or not? In order to check, we are rewriting the original problem. We're just going to write it down here. So I've got negative 10.2 equals W plus 1.4. But since we figured out what our W is, I am going to get rid of that W. And what should I plug in?
11.
Negative 11.6. Okay, so we're working on this over here. Class, same sign or different sign? Different sign. So what do I have to do? I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger number. Kyla, what's negative 11.6 plus 1.4? Negative 10.2. And then I'm going to drop down what I had over here. Class, is that the same thing?
Yes.
Give yourself a mini check mark because it did check out. Let's go to the next one. Heather, x divided by 10 equals negative 3. How do I get x by itself? Good job. We're trying to get rid of this divide by 10, so I have to multiply by 10 on both sides. On the left side, we know that that's going to cancel out, and I'm left with, Heather, x equals what? Negative 30. Everybody box that answer in. How many of you would say you forgot to check this one also? Okay, let's just check it out together. Heather, how would I check that? Instead of x divided by 10, what will I write? Negative 30 divided by 10. And we know up here it says our answer is supposed to be negative 3. Heather, what is negative 30 divided by 10? It is negative 3. Class, does negative 3 equal negative 3?
Yes.
Yes, give yourself a mini check mark because it did check out. Heather, I want you to bump it off for someone to help us with problem 34. All right, Kyla, how do I get m by itself?
You divide 5 on both sides.
Very good. We are going to divide by 5 on both sides. When you do that, Kyla, what do you get?
You get negative 2.
Negative 2 is correct. Guys, if you didn't remember to check it, I want you to check it right now. All right, so when you checked it, I'm hoping that you guys put in 5 times and you plugged in the negative 2 equals negative 10. Class, what is 5 times negative 2? Does it equal each other?
Yes.
So there we go. A mini check mark because it is correct. Let's go on to the next one. This is a different kind of idea. This came from chapter 4. Write the word sentence as an equation. Aubrey, help me out. What does the word sum mean? Plus. So tell us what you wrote for this one.
M plus 2 equals 7.
Okay, there's only one thing that I wish for you to correct. Do you see that number right there?
No. Okay.
So we want to have that negative 2 in there.
Minus 2.
Okay, here's what some people will put in. They might put parentheses there just so that they know they're adding a negative, but you don't have to have the parentheses there, okay? Let's go to the next one. Anson, a number minus 12 equals 26. What did you write?
X minus 12 equals 26.
Fantastic. Let's go to the next one. Brandon, a number divided by 11 is 5.
X that fraction sign 11 equal 5.
Very good, okay? So he remembered when we have divide by, we want to use a fraction bar. Okay, for the next one, we have solve the two-step equations. Zariana, we are trying to solve for A. Who is A's best friend? 4. So we're going to keep this together. Don't touch that. So Zariana, what should I get rid of first?
The plus 3.
How do I do that?
Minus 3.
Minus 3 on both sides. Keep going.
And then that is 12 equal 4a.
Good job, because this cancels out. How do I get A by itself?
Divide by 4.
Divide by 4, and what do you get?
A equals 3.
A equals 3. If you ever want to double check, you can always stick this right back up here. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, and that does equal exactly what we wanted it there. Very good job. Let's go on to the next one. Remember, if you don't get these correct, erase it and fix it. On to the next one. Kaylin, who is X's best friend? 8, okay? It's attached to it, so we're going to keep the divide with it for a little bit longer, okay? Kaylin, keep going. How do I get rid of minus 5?
Add by 5.
Add by 5 on both sides. Okay, so now we've got X over 8 equals, what's 3 plus 5? 8. Kaylin, keep going. How do I get that X by itself?
Multiply by 8 on both sides.
Very good. We've got to multiply by 8 on both sides, and what do you get?
64.
X equals 64. You are correct. Okay, let's turn to the next page. You have $475 in your bank account, okay? So we're going to start with that amount, $475. How many of you would say you have less than that in your bank account?
Wait,
Who would say you have more than that in your bank account? All right, man. So let's move on. You earn some money over the weekend mowing lawns, and you deposit that into your account. If you earn money, are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing that? Adding it. Do we know how much money we earned? No. So we're going to put a mystery X. Then it says you decide to go out and to buy a new television for how much money?
$400.
If you are buying something for $400, should I add, subtract, multiply, or divide that? We are subtracting $400 because you spent it. Now it says you have how much money left in your bank account?
$350.
Okay, so that equals your final amount, $350. Here it has asked us you must show an equation. This is an equation because we have a variable, a plus or minus, and an equal sign. On the left side, I can combine these like terms. Okay, so I'm going to drop down my x, but I want you to combine this right here. Guys, what's 475 minus 400? 75. Positive or negative 75? Positive $75 equals 350. Brandon, how do I get x by itself?
Minus 75.
Correct. We are going to subtract 75 on both sides. Class, what's the answer? $275 is the amount that you earn for mowing yards. All right, for the next one, we are writing the word sentence as an inequality. I had quite a few people who have struggled with this. Onto the side, I want you guys to just write 4.4. If this is a section that's tough for you, go back through, watch those YouTube videos, check out those notes to see if you can figure out what these answers are so that you really understand it. All right, 41 says a number r minus 6 is at least 3.5. Kaylin, what'd you get?
R minus 6 is less than or equal to 3.5.
Okay, this is one of those tough things that a lot of people mess up on. At least. If the least it can be is 3.5, could it be exactly 3.5?
Yeah.
Yes, it could. But if that's the least it can be, everything else has to be greater than. So we don't want a less than sign, we want a greater than sign. All right, so if you didn't have that, that's okay. Erase it and fix it. Let's go to the next one. Halen, twice a number y plus 4 is less than 12. How do I write that?
2y less than 18 or 12.
Okay, we're missing one part.
Oh, plus 4.
Plus 4. Very good. Okay, so with these ones, just look really close, attention to detail to make sure you see that it is written correctly. Who would like to do 43 for me? All right, Gerard, go ahead. Twice a number x is at most negative 25.
2x is less than or equal to negative 25.
You are correct, okay? Now, a lot of people have a hard time when they see this word at most. If you want to, you can go to 4.4, memorize it in your head. At most is always going to be less than or equal to. But just think, the most it can be is this, which means everything else has to be less than that. All right, going on to the last one. The quotient of a number m and 8 is less than or equal to 4. Lexi, how do I write that?
N over 8 is less than or equal to 4.
You are correct. Who would say you got all 4 of those word sentences as an inequality correct? If you don't, that's okay. Go back and study section 4.4. All right, so we're going to do the final 2 problems today. Write an inequality that would represent the situation. First off, Zariana, what is the variable we will always write?
X.
Okay, we're going to put an X. Next up, what is the number that you see there?
18.
18. Here I can see that there is a closed-in circle. What does that closed-in circle tell me?
Oh, that is like exactly. It's the
It can be exactly 18, so we do need that equal to sign. Now, if I look and all these numbers kept going that way, are those numbers greater than 18 or less than?
No, greater.
Those are all greater than, so we know that it has to be a greater than sign. Okay, let's do the final problem together. Adam, what do I write?
X minus -6. Less than.
Less than, okay? All of these numbers over this way are less than -6. Notice it's an open closed circle, which is why he did not give us an equal to sign right there. And remember another way that I told you, this is a less than sign and this arrow looks like a less than sign, so that's another great way to help you out, okay? So continue working through your midterm review sheet, and hopefully this is helpful to you today for studying.